Hello again, everybody. It's Plowboy's Ghost Channel. I want to do a little talk with y'all about how I feel concerning revolvers versus autoloaders. We're talking primarily 10mm. Imagine we're going to have this conversation again when it comes to dangerous game. Yes, dangerous game. And before anyone says, Plowboy, well, you live in Northwest Alabama, what dangerous game do you have here? Well, I don't have grizzly bears other than the, hay rolls that kind of look like one from a great distance when you're really, really drunk, which I don't get drunk, but sometimes they do look like them. We do have black bears here. They're becoming more and more frequently documented, and pictures showing up in newspapers and online around here. But before you think for 1 second that because I don't live in grizzly country that I can't have an opinion on grizzlies or on big game, dangerous game defense, understand that around here, like another friend of mine I was talking to earlier, we have big animals, and that can kill people and do kill people, sometimes more than grizzlies do, that can be difficult to stop and to kill too. Furthermore, you and I don't live, most of y'all, and I definitely don't live in Washington, D.C., but I have a very strong opinion about what goes on in Washington, D.C. too. So if anyone thinks for 1 second that I can't have an opinion about what someone proffers for big game, dangerous game defense when it comes to calibers, cartridges, gun styles, etc., understand most all of y'all have an opinion on whatever football team, whatever in college football did last weekend, but most of y'all never played college ball either. You get my point. You don't have to be there to have an opinion on it. So here's my opinion. To the group, to the crowd who say that the capacity rules, that revolvers are antiquated and outdated, outmoded because they lack the ability to lay down this massive wall of fire, I would like to draw your attention to a recent bear attack. I believe it was west of Yellowstone. Maybe it was in Idaho, where it took two people with two guns, 10mm and 45 ACP, reportedly with a magazine change and a malfunction. 24 shots was what went into that bear. If it had been just the guy with a 10mm alone, this would be a death statistic. The guy with the 10mm shot the bear initially in the side or whatever, from the side, and the bear went to chewing on everybody or whomever, whatever. Point being, if you got time for one shot, do you want it to be a 10mm? If you think that that magazine capacity is what rules, that you need 24 shots, first of all, either you are overestimating, either you are carrying a caliber that's too weak, or you're not too convinced that you can hit the target. And that, I will say, make each shot count. Long before all these plastic fantastics came out, starting in the 80s, whenever Glock came out, they ain't been here that long. Revolvers rule today. The men who carried revolvers rule today. What they did then is what they can do today. It's just the mindset of people that's changed. It's the movie Lethal Weapon. It's Die Hard. It's John Wick. It's you that's changed. The guns haven't changed. If you have a revolver mindset, if you make each shot count, and if you're carrying a gun that is strong enough, a caliber, a cartridge that is strong enough to do what you should do in much fewer shots than somebody that ends up having to needing help, 24 shots between two guns to stop a bear. There was multiple shots hit that bear in the face and failed to penetrate the skull. 10mm and 45 ACP. Does that inspire confidence in y'all? It sure as hell don't me. So I would say if it's too difficult, if you want the autoloader, if you want the 10mm for your dangerous game defense gun, and it's because you can't handle the recoil of a real gun, a real caliber, a sumbitch, something that can really hit, lay down some heavy lead. And those of you who think that caliber don't matter, cartridge don't matter, and there's a lot of y'all that think that. Well, then why aren't you carrying the 22? Just carry your little North American Arms 22 in your pocket, and that's all you need for bear, as long as you can hit. Remember, accuracy is king. But for the rest of you who understand that that is absolutely insane, here's our message for the rest of y'all who think that 9 and 10 millimeter are the way to go because they're easier to control, easier to handle. Yeah, learn how to shoot a real gun. Okay, well, for those of you who think that that it has to be lighter, it has, oh, it's just kicks too hard, it's too much weight, I can't get fast enough shots. You know, I don't know what's going on with y'all. I mean, does it kick more than the gun you're used to shooting on your little first-person shooter video games? Yes. A lot of y'all that I see, a lot of the tactical crowd, look like you've spent a lot of time in the gym, but yet you can't handle more than a 9 millimeter. You give that tactical boy a 10 millimeter, and oh Lord, that thing kicks. Of course, they say it with a Yankee accent. To y'all, stop whining, don't snivel. Come on, learn how to shoot a real gun. What's all in muscles and testosterone and whatever y'all are taking from the GNC for? Can you not handle heavy, hard cast 41 Magnum, 44 Magnum, 45 Colt, and up? Come on. I mean, what do you want to do? You want to shoot? How many people do you need to stop your threat? How many shots do you need? Well, if you're carrying a 9 millimeter or 10 millimeter, you need a lot more. You're going to need a lot more unless you're really lucky. And, you know, as far as that goes, if you think that the caliber don't matter, and, you know, I can point toward a very well-respected, long-standing guide who, yes, took a grizzly bear with 9 millimeter. You know, the fact of the matter is, I will say I don't give a damn how long he's been up there. I don't care how experienced he is, and he can say, well, you don't live and you don't care. You carried a 9 millimeter to a big bore Magnum gunfight with a bear, and you had people in your charge. You had people you were responsible for. I'm not mentioning your name, but you know who you are. People you were responsible for. And you waited until, yeah, a little 9 millimeter. I don't care what it was loaded with. You were lucky. You had to dump a hell of a lot of rounds in it and get a hell of a lot of luck. But this bear could have killed the people that was laying there on the ground that you couldn't even see no more, as far as what I remember reading, before you started emptying rounds into it, and got lucky and stopped it. As far as I believe, you got real lucky. And to y'all who think that the caliber don't matter, 9 millimeter is good enough, you know, you remember the don't snivel, don't whine. You remember the learn how to shoot a real caliber. If you think that those don't, you know, do some damn research. First of all, caliber and cartridge does matter. Bullet weight does matter. And the only time it don't matter, I guess, is if you're worried about energy figures. If you're thinking that, well, the most powerful cartridge is the one that's got the most energy, well, bullet construction matters. Penetration matters. You know, for the cast bullet people, like myself, we understand that the nose of the bullet matters. The overall diameter of the bullet matters. The weight of the bullet matters. The sectional density of the bullet matters more than the velocity and the energy. Hear what I'm saying to you. When it comes to stopping something with a cast bullet, and I don't give a rat's rip about one bit about a full metal, about a jacketed hollow point. Jacketed hollow points are for people. That's for social work. Jacketed hollow points are for neatly parking a fully expanded bullet just inside the offside hide, and that myth of energy transfer, like you're trying to push the deer over or push the bear over. If you are going light and fast with something that can eat you, you're an idiot. And if you can't understand that, that's your problem. Once again, do your own research. Understand that you know, the reason that 10 millimeter don't matter, It's because 10 millimeter don't throw a big enough bullet, don't throw a heavy enough bullet. And it can't throw that heavy enough bullet hard enough to really do any damn good, in my opinion. And you can't count on it to be reliable. If it does throw it, you can't count on it. There was just another, separate of the incident that I relayed a moment ago, another instance of someone with a 10 millimeter, it was a 10 millimeter, that had a malfunction while they were being attacked and, gnawed up, chewed up by a bear. And it's been brought to my attention recently that there is some idiots online that are carrying on about revolvers being less reliable than automatics. You people are nuts. And you are, if you want to believe that, that's fine. Good luck to you. But you're giving people advice. And I found that stupid people, let me rephrase that. I found that people who don't know are taking advice from a hell of a lot of people who don't know. I started out on auto loaders decades ago. 30-something years ago, 35 years ago, something like that. I don't know, 33, 34 years ago. And came to love, respect revolvers and big bore revolvers much later. Yeah, I got sucked into the lethal weapon thing too. Bought those guns and thought they were awesome. Oh yeah. Point with big game, dangerous game. If you have some sort of physical ailment or disability, arthritis is creeping up on me, y'all. My hands hurt a lot. And especially when I go in there and get that 500 JRH out and I start shooting it, my hands start hurting a lot. So, in all seriousness here, if 10 millimeter is what you can shoot and you have tested your load and your load is very effective, I highly recommend some hard cast, heaviest stuff you can get if your gun will run it reliably. And that's what you got. That is a heck of a lot better than hopes, prayers, and middle finger and bad words, because I don't think those things impress bears. So I'm not knocking on y'all. I may be in that camp one day myself. And I've owned a lot of 10 millimeters since my first one in 2002. It's the 10 millimeter fanboys, the autoloader fanboys, the FUD anti-revolver folks that have really soured me on 10 millimeter and all the autoloaders. It's their constant beratement of revolver people, Magnum revolver people, this archaic, inefficient, outdated, outmoded design that it's not good for anything. Those people are absolute idiots. Don't listen to them. Unless you want to find yourself needing help with an autoloader pistol that obviously has issues and you're being chewed up by some dangerous game, dangerous animal, you can thank Juke or whomever. Well, they told you that 10 millimeters is what everybody's going to. Well, just because it's popular don't mean it's the right thing. There's millions and millions and millions and millions of people who are going to vote idiot this time around. So popular, trending, that don't mean anything. Stupid abounds. Stupid is contagious. Don't listen to people who tell you to get used to prefer, to choose something that's weak. That's just my opinion. And if this bothers you, if you're the autoloader guy that can't appreciate the fact that I like 10 millimeter and still have negative things to say about people, so-called experts, telling you that 10 millimeter and even 9 millimeter are bear guns. They are good to go. That's what you should choose. And if it bothers you that I tell you that you should learn to, if you're physically able, that's the caveat, if you're physically able to shoot a real gun, and I mean a powerful Magnum revolver, even if it's a single action, Lord have mercy, there's a lot of single actions out there over over the course of many, many, many years and decades that have been used for defense against, well, when it comes to against people, it's been what, a century and a half or more? Worked just fine. We didn't need John Wick and you know, whatever other movie to tell us that it wasn't good enough. And been used against dangerous game. Decades and decades and decades and decades. Over half a century probably. I mean, Elmer Keith relayed a story of someone way back when. I know it's in the first half of the century, maybe the first quarter of the century, that stopped an attack from a sow and 2 cubs, yearling cubs, killed the sow and killed one of the cubs. 45 Colt, I assume it to be black powder, 250, 255 grain load, 1 shot each, 2 shots, 2 bears dead. Are you gonna tell me that could do it? But someone today in 2024 is not capable of taking a heavy 41 Magnum, heavy 45 Colt, 44 Magnum, heavy, and that's what I believe in is heavy and hard cast. 454 Kasu, 500 JRH, 480 Ruger. 480 Ruger, 500 JRH, you name it, 475 line ball. You know, to those people who say those just too much gun, you can't shoot fast enough, you know, go back and look at the rest of my signs. And if you still say they're too much, then that's all I got to say to you.